or agile methodology are most appropriate for systems development that you don't know what would be the output of that yet. And so you use that. But inventory system, I think it's predictable that you need to have the list of the inventories, you need to have the regular monitoring of that, and so on. And again, as to the conclusion, how did you know that you have addressed the problem? Because it's not enough to develop, right? The purpose of developing the system is to address the problem. And so you need to go back to that, and you need to measure it, you need to assess, or you need to evaluate whether you have really addressed that problem. Because if you haven't addressed that problem, then the system is not, is not suited. Okay, so it's not enough to say that you have developed this module and so on. Okay, so next time when you do research, you have to go back to the problems that you have identified and check if you have answered those problems or if you have addressed those problems. Okay?
Okay, so in addition to the panel's question, how would you deal with the request if it is a priority or not?
We have an urgent request. So before the user can make a request, as I did in the demo, there is a specific field there that could determine whether the request is just an ordinary request or urgent request. So if the user wants an urgent request, then the user can choose it. Then when it comes to the purchasing department, the urgent request is filtered out on a specific field in which the purchasing department can first view the urgent request than the regular request. But we do not have any part of the system that would determine if really that request is urgent or not. Let's say the user just want to make that urgent in order for that request to be the first one to be processed. So maybe the purchasing department will really confirm to the user if that request is really urgent or not.
And in addition to that, how would you deal with the return of items?
We do not have any...
Because based on your problem, so it is more on recording. More on recording. And also not actually the real inventory system is all about. Because it actually monitors the in and out, and also the out of stocks, and also the monitoring also of the equipment. So how would you deal with that?
We have a module there that creates receiving report. So the item, let's say the chair is damaged, so they want to return it. So we have part of the system that can make a remark, and they will make a remark that the property custodian received an item and the user doesn't want the item. And the purchasing department can view the item, view the receiving report, which has the remarks of that the item is damaged or not and it needs replacement. So that the purchasing department can go back to the supplier and change the item. But the item, it's the same thing. Even though the item is damaged and they change it with another brand, that's one thing we lack, that we can change the whole item to the new item. So let's say the chair was replaced with another brand and the user approved. So we do not have things like this is the first item and this is the replaced item. So
second to the last question, consumables. Okay, how would you deal with the consumables? Because I think you're more on equipment, and it is actually part of the inventory system to monitor also consumables.
The property custodian does not record in their system the consumables, only the equipments. That's based on during our interview with them. So let's say the computer studies requested 5 pencils or those tissues. So the custodian doesn't record it that the department bought tissues and pencil, only the equipments like the speaker, fan. Or
Does not record it?
They
How
do
do they track it?
As far as I remember, they do not receive the item, the consumables. They do not record it really. They just give it to the departments.
That will become inefficient and inconsistency because they will not actually record the consumables. And lastly, how would you deal with the security? It's because based on your conceptual framework, so LAN and then security. How do you understand security in your system? So this refers also to the IT students here. In the database, you do not put any security features.
We do not have any security features.
In your database? Only in your system?
Only
How
in the
do you
system.
understand the security? So, in your conceptual framework here, local area network, and then security, and it will go in your system.
Well, our security is only the login, the password and username. So in our database, we do not have any security that would secure the data from outsiders.
So, the login, the username, and password, it is actually given.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, you will be identifying the AAA, the authentication, the authorization, and the accounting. So, authorization is actually the acceptance, the username and password. And authorization is what exactly the module being actually covered. So, there are modules like if you're on the if you are the department head, you can access this. If you are an ordinary user, you can actually access this. So that is actually given. But on the accounting and simply the audit trailing of each users, so you must put it also, not just only security.
Our audit trailing is only who, in case who made the request and approved the request, that's only our audit trailing. And because in the department head, anyway, they can view the request, who approved the request, and that's all. But in general, in the system, we have not implemented.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you for the second presenter. Now we'll proceed with the third presentation. Their title for the research is Farmers Information and Crop Production Management System with Mobile Application for Progressive and United Federation of Farmers Association of Oton. Authors are Mary Rose Bernardo, John Gabriel Cibalios, and John Gabriel Jacob. Presenters are John Cibalios and John Gabriel Jacob.
Level up. Good morning, everyone. Today, I will present to you our system entitled Farmers Information and Crop Production Management System with Mobile Application for Progressive and United Federation of Farmers Association of Oton. To start things off, technology was described as product and process used to simplify the daily lives. It is also used to extend the abilities, making people the most crucial part of any technology system, cited from useoftechnology.com. Technology is applied in almost everything such as work, in communication, transportation, learning, manufacturing, securing data, scaling business, and so much more. Technology is human knowledge which involves tools, materials, and systems. The application of technology typically results in products. If technology is well applied, it would benefit humans, but opposite is true, is used for malicious reasons. Explains for what is PUFAO. PUFAO is a farmer federation in Oton that manages all of the farmers association. Farmer association in Oton are basically the barangays, and they are the one manages the members. PUFAO function is to cater each of the association information they need coming from the Department of Agriculture. So this is the data flow diagram. The process of their involves the farmer. Farmer needs to fill up information. Then after that, they will be interviewed by the president of the association. Next thing, if the farmer pass the interview, their information will be recorded in database, and in case if ever the farmer need to be evaluated, it can be searched from the farmer records. Farmer records will be generate reports, then submitted to PUFAO next to Department of Agriculture. So we have cited 5 problems. First is difficulty in searching and retrieving of farmer files due to manual filing. PUFAO is using a logbook system, which is very difficult for them to find the farmers' data every time they need reports. Insufficient monitoring of production rate of particular crop, which lead to overproduction. Farmers keep producing same kind of crop, which they don't know that they have stock of overproduction. Farmers do not know the present market prices of the product, that which may lead overpricing or low price selling of products. Farmers in Oton are not informed what are the right prices needed for the products, because Department of Agriculture usually delays or sometimes don't report to the farmers regarding with the prices. Farmers have limited access to supplementary farming learning materials needed for improvement, which leads to improper usage of materials. In my case, farmers has the knowledge of what they are doing, but needs more skills to improve the farming process. And lastly is incomplete report on production due to late submission or inability to submit reports. So our system consists targets of a profiling module that will record all of farmers' information to be computerized. Next is a monitoring module that can show a statistical analysis of crop production if it is over or lacking in production. Third is a notification module for price update to inform the farmers regarding what is the latest prices needed by the farmers. A training module that will allow multimedia access and video tutorial and training about proper farming. Our system caters video tutorial regarding on how proper farming needs to be construct. And lastly, a report module that will allow farmers to easily report or update their production information to their association by using the website. So the methodology we use is the incremental model. First is the planning, which we plan out on what the system will consist. And for the analysis phase, we have conducted the interview with the PUFAO regarding with the problems they encounter. In the design phase, conducted the what should be the system would consist and the code, what would be the structure, and test the modules if it is working, and increment as long as the process is available. So this is the use case diagram of our system. Our system consists of login, accounts, association, video trainings, supply and demand, farm products information, production, notification, and setting. So we have 4 users, which is the PUFAO, Association, Farmer, and Department of Agriculture. The admin of the system would be the PUFAO, which can access mainly all the functions of the system. And for the association, the members under the accounts, they can view the members' account and archive pending. Association also can upload video trainings regarding with the they need to broadcast along with the farmers. Next is, so this is the farmer. Farmers can access login, video training, supply and demand, product information, production, and notification. While for the Department of Agriculture, can only log in, upload supply and demand, which is the market price, and his account setting.
Good morning again, everyone. I am John Gabriel Jacob, and I am the one who will demonstrate our system. So first, the features of our system are profiling management, which will organize the data of every farmer to the system. Next is video training module that will give the farmer information and knowledge about proper farming, the same as crop information, which give the farmer the specific product with information. For example, is the month of farming, And the next one is market prices. This module gives the farmer the latest market prices. And next one is sufficiency level. The sufficiency level will display the low in production, sufficient, and overproduction products. Next one is the production management, which will be able for the farmer to send updates for their production to their association. So as you can see, this is the homepage of our website. On our navigation bar, it is included the information about the PUFAO, its history, mission, vision, organization, program and project products, updates, contact us. So if I am the farmer and I want to register to a association, I will go to the upper right and I will hover the user icon and click the sign up. After clicking the sign up button, it will redirect you to the page which is you can fill up the form. So this form is, I clone it from their manual, their actual form in the office. So in this form, you must fill up the association that you will be registered, upload your profile, name, some information, username, password, and then you will select your product. It is important for you to select the product because it will display on your production, on your submitting, on your production submitting. So after that, when you already registered to the association, your information will go to the association and then the association will either approve or decline your request. So for approving the request, the farmer must go to the office of association for the interview and then for the approval of request. So if the request is approved, for farmer to log into the system, you must go to the upper right again and click the login. Yes. After the login, on the home page for the landing page for the farmers, the farmer will see the sufficiency level of the product that he inserted to the registration form. On our navigation, the items that are included are video training. If you click the video training, it will show you some video and information about training. And you can also search for a video. Bingo. Next is the supply and demand sufficiency level. In the sufficiency level, it will show you all the products sufficiency level, if it is overproduction, sufficient, or low in production. Next is for market prices. For market prices, it will show you the latest market prices uploaded by DA. So if you want to view or download the product, just click the button view and download. And it will display information of the market prices. So this is for cereal crops. The information, it will give you the month of planting, soil specification, and for harvest. Next is for submitting production, new production. In this section, you will enable to submit all your production for the week or month to your association. Next, to view your submitted production, you will go to My Production, and this will display your submitted production. You can modify and delete it. And if you click this PDF button, it will auto-generate production report. This is your production report, and this is the date of the report generated. Next is for the notification. This notification will show you the newly updated information in the system. For example, the market price, video training, and others. The farmer can also edit his or her username and password by clicking the account setting information and his or her profile for the information entered. Next is for the association account. So in the association, the modules included is the account, is the profile management. So in pending, it will show you the information of the farmer that not approved. For approving, you can archive and view more information about that farmer, the archive pages, and the members of the association. The association can also view the video training, supply and demand, the market prices, product information, and view the production information of his members, and he can also generate a report. Okay. Next is the analytics. This will show you the graph of the production information. And for the admin, the admin side the admin can view the association registered and all to view the members of the association. He can also add, edit, and remove association. He can upload video training, edit. To view the video uploaded, market prices. He can also add the market prices, market sufficiency level. The admin is the one who can modify the per capita seeds wastage of every product, sufficiency. The data that the formula of this sufficiency level is from the provincial agriculture. We get the information. Farm product information, you can upload farm product information and a production. The analytics of every product. You can view the production, loss production, area harvested. And for the reports, the admin can print the total, choose the association, part generated, and the product. The admin can also change his username and password. That's all for our system. Thank you.
And as for the conclusion of the study, at the end of the study and development of the system, the objectives stated were achieved based on the modules that were identified. Next is farmers' data can now simply search and retrieve by the Farmers Association using the system. It also allows the farmers to report and update their production information. And lastly, the system also provides a statistical module that serve as their basis for dropping and increasing production. For the recommendation side, an offline system to be able to access the system even without internet connection, to sell online selling of crops, fruits, and vegetables on their hand through online. And that's it for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. My first question is, how are the current prices being updated? How would you update the current prices of the commodity?
So the current prices of products is from the Department of Agriculture. They uploaded it on the system.
So is there a module where the DA can
Yes.
upload the current?
Yes.
But you did not show that, no?
For DA account.
So meaning there will be multiple users at a time, DA and the farmers.
Yes,
But
DA farmers.
they will be using the same system.
Yes.
How do you determine the sufficiency level of the product?
So the formula of our sufficiency level of the product, that formula is we get from the provincial agriculture. They gave us that formula. Yes,
So you have included that
the per capita population.
I did not see this system yet. Okay, suppose, is it being, deployed na? Wala pa. Under ano pa lang siya? Under review?
I'm just not sure with regards to the advisor because I think we asked them before whether they were able to present it to you. And
Wala.
they have presented it to you once. Ano na?
Pero it's not yet final, no?
Okay.
The third question is, how will the farmers access the system? Because you don't have yet the mobile.
We have a mobile
application. Do you have now?
Yes po.
So how does the mobile application works?
So the farmer should have internet access for now because we didn't now convert it to the PWA. So the farmer can only log in to the mobile app. The only feature that is not included to the mobile app is the registration for the farmer.
So they will have to go to the association's office to register, not through the mobile app.
Yes,
And
for
what
approval.
What would be the information that they can access through mobile app?
For the mobile app, they can access the market prices, the crops information, the sufficiency level of product, and they can send their production and they can view their submitted production.
Is it already working?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. In objective number 2, what are the parameters in generating the statistical analysis?
So the parameters are population per capita, consumption, demand, supply. So for computing the demand, you must first compute the consumption is the seeds plus the wastage and the population times per capita. And then after that, after you computed the supply and demand, the formula is supply over demand times 100. Multiply it to 100 and that will show the sufficiency level % of the product. So if the percentage is above 150, it is overproduction. If it is below 100, it is low in production, and the other is sufficient.
Okay. Then second question, does the system suggest what type of crops to plant in a specific season?
Yes po, there's crop information. There's details on it that there's a month that this crop is good for planting.
Does the system also supports queries from the farmers? Like for example, because you've mentioned about tutorials here, so does it also supports a query or questions from the farmer? Specifically on type of crop to plant.
They only...
And then how to plant the type of...
Yes, but for example, how to grow this plant.
Product information.
Okay.
Okay, so good morning. So my first question is, again, for the conceptual framework, you have 4 users of the system.
Yes, sir.
Association, Department of Agriculture, PUFAO,
And farmers.
and lastly is association also. What is the difference between 2 users of the system, because there are 2 association?
Farmers is the lesser. I think is error.
First is
Clerical error.
cooperative, association, DA, and farmer.
Because right here is association. It is a clerical error, or?
I think so.
My second question is, I think your title is Farmers and Information.
Farmers information.
Yes, that is one system, and crop production management, that is another set of system. Okay. In your conceptual framework, I have seen here actually the farmer's information only. Where is your crop production management?
Belongs to this sufficiency level, sir.
Where exactly here? It refers to registration, profiling, multimedia, notification, and monitoring. Okay, so just try to check this because you have actually two types of system: farmers information and crop production management. And based on my understanding, when speak about crop production management, you're referring to from seed going to the output itself, going to the production itself. So do you monitor that in your system? From
No.
the seed going to the production?
It's about information about the submitting production and only sufficiency level of the product.
Okay. And last question is, how do you define analytics in your program? So it only displays the current production or the current flow of graphical data, current lang ang ina-display ang analytics nyo. It does not display the forecasting.
Last year.
For example, within 2021, so amo na ning mga production naton. That is actually analytics. In your case, it is only a graph lang showing the current status of the what you call that, of the crops itself.
For that, sir, we need more information about entering the data from database.
Because the data is actually right there. All you need to do is to put an algorithm in order for you to compute the forecasting side. So maybe you could actually add that also.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So for our next presentation, this will be studies conducted by the MSCS students. So her research title is Trike Technology. The author is Antoinette Fuentes, and she will be presenting her study.
Check test. Good morning, everyone. Transportation describes the systems and methods for connecting people and places, goods and services, activities and opportunities. Transportation plays a big role on how people live their lives. And so progress and development connected in part of transportation. So as we all know, modern transportation is currently experiencing major change. And let us all thanks for the transformative transportation technologies. It is no secret that anything mobile is all rage today. So around the world, mobile technologies have grown tremendously in the past 10 years. So in the Philippines, consumers were surveyed and stated that over 83% cannot live without their mobile phones. So up to this moment, the continuous growth on the use of mobile devices. So nowadays, even poor individuals has its own mobile phone because it is one of their means of communication. So there is, that's why we have a continuous growth on the use of mobile devices. It is also a fact that our daily horrendous and chaotic traffic situation, especially in the city proper, is contributing to the growth of mobile technology. As thousands of commuters use their mobile devices for various functions while struggling through traffic. So there are more advantages of using mobile technology, such as affordability, accessibility, compatibility, effort and ease of use, service quality, and safety concern. Now, it is my honor to present to you the Trike, a mobile transportation application in Rojas City using Bellman-Ford algorithm. And my name is Antoinette A. Fuentes, an MSCS student of Central Philippine University. Okay, so Trike is a mobile transportation application in Rojas City using Bellman-Ford algorithm. Is a network companion connecting commuters to drivers, able to network drivers and commuters through a mobile application which provides options and varieties of features in the transportation service. Trike mobile transportation application linked with global positioning system with functional and easy used features and structures. Okay, so this is designed, this transportation application is designed in Rojas City, which is the seafood capital of the Philippines. Now, so the main transportation that we have in Rojas City is tricycles, and then we have jeepneys, which is transportation within the remote areas. And the latest is we have the shuttle buses there, but they are just only used in the main streets in the city. So the most challenging, especially to us, to students, the most challenging scenario of every individual day-to-day is getting to work, classes, or meeting on time. So commuters are always experiencing, as always, late, inconvenient transportation, and limited access of vehicles. Okay, so commuters are always experiencing delays because of no available tricycles during early morning and late night, specifically in remote areas. Some of them encountered discriminating drivers, non-availability of tricycles in schools and offices during peak hours, and at the same time when there is unanticipated events or we have typhoons. Okay, the only access within the city and near barangays in Rojas is through tricycle transportation. So these are the experiences or the problems that we are experiencing in Rojas City. So access to tricycle transportation is inconvenient due to traffic and scarcity during peak hours. The tricycle rates go overboard the prescribed during peak hours. Tricycle drivers, specifically in remote areas, may take longer time due to drivers' unfamiliarity of the place. Unavailability of tricycles become lesser as drivers choose passengers for their own convenience, and unsafe access to transportation with colorum tricycles and unlicensed drivers. Okay, so I would like to connect with our theme, which is resiliency and sustainable development. So this is a Sustainable Development Goals number 9, which is the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Okay, so TRIC will help to achieve our problems in transportation in Rojas City. So investment in infrastructure and innovation are crucial drivers of economic growth and development. So with the TRIC, it is a big help in our city, in our transportation. For the objectives, to develop a mobile transportation application for commuters in Rojas City. Specifically, a transportation mobile application connecting commuters and drivers in Rojas City. To use Bellman-Ford algorithm to compute for the shortest path as basis for determining fare, charges, and distance based on LTFRB fare tariff. To provide users an interface that will allow the selection of point of origin and destination and selection of ride type. And to develop a module for trip administration. So, Bellman-Ford algorithm is algorithm used for finding the shortest path. So this table, I'm going to explain it short. Okay, so we have here a client 1, 2, and 3. For the legend, we have the green ones, which is the passenger 1, 2, and 3. Drop-off point, we have drop-off of client 1, 2, and 3. The red one is our current location of our driver, and the green one is the who will be the priority. So this distance, okay, this is how Bellman-Ford algorithm works. Okay. So okay. Client 1 here. Okay. Okay, we have client 1. As you can see, the distance is 9 minus 4 is equals to 5. Client 2 is 4 minus 4 is equals to 0. And client 3 is 5. So, ginsolve through Bellman-Ford algorithm. So, we will, as passenger 1, queued for a trip, he queued for the trip, and then as the driver picks up the client 1, automatic the client on queue for pickup is sorry, I don't have Okay, so client 1, 2, and 3. Trip queuing 1. Okay, as passenger is riding already in the tricycle, a client on queue for pickup is client number 2. But since the first passenger is client 1, still the priority is the passenger 1. But the distance of 1 is 5, which is he has a destination between client number 2 because client number 2 has a distance of 0. So if the passenger 2 is already on the trip and upon the trip of the client number 2, client on queue for pickup after 2 is 3. As you can see, client 3 has a distance of 5. Let's say, for example, the scenario that client 2 has already dropped off. Now, the question is, who will be the priority between 1 and 3? Because they have the same distance of 5. Who will be the first priority? 1. Yes, of course. 1 is because he was the one who first queued with the trip. Okay, so that's the work of the Bellman-Ford algorithm. And now, next for our trike framework. So we have here the administrator and the driver and passenger. So for authentication, for them to use with our application or the system. So Bellman-Ford algorithm is the one who is controlling for our fare calculation and trip queuing, and especially in our routing. Bellman-Ford, once again, is algorithm used for the shortest path. Okay. So we have the user profiling for the passenger and the driver, and then for our GPS for live location, and then e-load is for our drivers, and we have the web server and database for the updates and to manage the accounts of our drivers and passengers account. Who maintains, creates, updates, and queries information related to driver and passenger. Okay, for a scope, a mobile application that shows the electronic map of Raha City, a mobile phone with Android OS version 6.0 and above, equipped with GPS device to have higher accuracy for routing the shortest path. The mobile application will only be available for tricycle drivers and registered on the association, and the users are limited to access the mobile application within the vicinity of Raha City only. Okay, I used for the methodology, which is the rapid application development. Okay, I would love to demonstrate to you the app, but due to the limited time, if you want, after this, you can use my application and my phone. Okay, so the mobile transportation application, the easiest way to get tricycle, hire tricycle wherever you are, live user location tracking, secure and reliable drivers, and trip types support. Okay, for my system, so this is the start screen, the sign up and log in, the interface for logging in and sign up of driver's passenger. So if you are a user or the passenger, you should sign up first. You should register. So this is the interface. We have the user and the driver. So the information of the user and the driver is different in registration. But this is a registration for the passenger only, because if you are the driver, information with your driver's license, your plate number, your tricycle, your chassis, okay, chassis of your or your tricycle, okay, so your registration will be reviewed by our staff. You're going to, because there are some users sa Subong, di ba, mga users naton, mga pinabuang na lang sila gamit sang application. Okay, so i-authenticate pa ang aton nga registration. Okay, next, passengers and drivers interface. Once you have logged in, okay, so we have here the menu is the map. So this is the map. This is the map of the passenger and this is the map of the driver. So welcome, Katrike. So if you're going to get a trip, you click that get track, and then the passenger is waiting for a passenger for a active pending trip. So in this interface, the driver is waiting for the passenger's queue. Trip information. So in this interface, the passenger will choose the type of trip, origin, and destination. So I have here the individual, the group, the split, and the pickup. In Rojas City, there are Okay. For those who want to see my mobile app, I can cater you later. So for the implications, Trike mobile transportation application is viable system and needs further study to improve its accessibility and usability. For system enhancement and development, Trike is capable to adopt changes. For the conclusions, due to increased number of population in Rojas City, the need for alternative mode of accessing transportation was highly sought by the commuters. Trike assured passengers to deliver a fast, safe, and secure transportation because of the embedded features of the system. Since technology challenge of rapid changes, the system administrator also coped and embraced in innovative enhancement and improvement to maintain its competitive and advantage. And for the recommendations, with the constraint by the proponents on the financial resources, the project may be pitched to potential investors. In order to maintain its differentiation and competitive advantage to other mobile applications, continuous research and development of the system is highly recommended. To widen its market, Trike technology may be presented to other neighboring cities and provinces where the mode of transportation is tricycle. And additional features of the application may be developed like order and delivery and others for new potential market. So I would like to thank the following person who helped and pushed me to make this research paper possible: to Ma'am Ting, thesis advisor, to my panelists, Sir Anren Balontong, Ms. Margie Rose Pareño for the panelists also, Sir Peter Cambronero, and for the lead panelist, Dr. Mary O. Penetrante, and Mr. Ian Arsiga for personal thesis advisor, Ma'am Jonah Gafate of Philomer, and Philomer Christian University for the financial assistance. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my question is, what is the novelty of your system compared to existing system right now?
Okay, sir. The last time I was in Manila and I used the Grab for an additional insights. The uniqueness of my system is that, or the application is that, I added the person in case of emergency. So there in the app, you can input or you can add the person in case of emergency. It will prompt the person wherever you are if the passenger has already picked up, if the passenger has already dropped off.
Okay, also right now, I think one of the most commonly used right now application is Angkas.
Yes, sir.
And you're in the motorcycle side, Trike. So how would you differ the passenger if it is an overweight, because LTFRB right now is considering the weight of a certain passenger?
Yes, sir. So I have a trip type: the individual, the group, the pick-up, and the Forgot. Okay, we are referring to the weight of the passenger. In Rojas City, we are only allowed to have 3 passengers in a tricycle. And our tricycles in Rojas City, if you are that big so much, so we have a lot of space, and like motorcycles here in Iloilo, and yes, we have a different kind of tricycles there.
Okay, so my last is, why Bellman Ford?
Bellman Ford algorithm, it's because it calculates shortest path, and it is also calculating negative path, sir. Unlike Dijkstra, it's not accepting the negative ones, but in Bellman Ford, it can calculate. Negative weight, sir. Sorry.
My question is, if the first priority is passenger 1 and the tricycle picked up passenger 2, which is priority 2, how will the system handle that?
Okay, ma'am. The system handles in calculating of the shortest path. So, for example,
No, my question is, yeah, it's been reported or recorded already that it's passenger 1 is the priority 1 and passenger 2 is the second priority. However, the tricycle driver picked up passenger 2 instead of passenger 1. How will the system handle that?
okay, the system handles depending on the distance, even though the first client is the number 1, but the distance of the client number 2 is nearer in the driver. So still the priority will be the client number 2.
But what would be shown on the app? Because it's passenger 2 that is there already in the trike, and passenger 1 is not yet there, but in the priority list, it's passenger 1.
Okay, ma'am. The example that I have shown is applicable for the shared trip only, because if the trip that you have queued is for individual, it is not applicable for any type of trip. So it is only applicable for split trips, meaning to say those passengers understood that they have a shared trip with each other. So even though the client number 1 has queued already, but it is understood to him or her that he or she has a shared passengers with the tricycle.
So you're saying the system will not be able to say anything about, oh, do you pick up passenger 2? It's supposed to be passenger 1.
Okay, ma'am. So the same answer I'm going to say. It's because you have choose the split trip. So it is very understood for those passengers that they are sharing the ride.
Okay. Last time, I suggested that you need to include a message whenever the passenger was already picked up.
Yeah.
There should be a confirmation that passenger 2 was
Picked up.
picked up.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
were you-
I have in my apps, ma'am. I'm going to show it later to you.
So maybe that's how the system will handle that situation, no? And it will say that it will record that it's passenger 2 that was picked up and
Yes,
not
ma'am.
passenger 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Another suggestion is in the receipt, there should be an indication of the company name and the BIR number, registration number,
Yes, ma'am.
and so on, right?
I printed the wrong. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
But in my apps, ma'am, it is already there.
And another is, because you have that statement of the problem with regards to security
Yes.
of the passengers, right? So how would the system handles that?
Security in terms of security, the passenger can view all of the information of the driver, the name, the license, the tricycle plate number. Okay, the passenger can view it, and at the same time, the passenger has a person in case of emergency. So all the details of the driver will send it to the person in case of emergency. And for the security also of the driver, the same thing. The driver can also view the profile of the passenger.
And feedback from the customer?
Yes, ma'am. It's already working, ma'am.
Okay, so if this will be implemented in Rojas City, have
Yes,
you
sir.
set policies and guidelines in using these applications? And then how will you penalize those violators?
Yes, sir. The last time, I'm sorry, I printed the wrong paper, but sir, your suggestion was already in the revision of my paper. I included it already. For the penalty, the driver cannot cancel the ride. The passenger can cancel the ride, but there is a limited at minutes only, because it is so very unfair for the driver if the passenger will cancel. So it is a waste of time and at the same time the gas of the driver. So the passenger can cancel the ride just for only 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, if you cancel, the amount will be paid on the next ride.
Okay, then how will you encourage commuters to use your app?
Actually, in Rojas City, sir, one of the problems is the tricycle drivers that go overboard with the fare. Okay, so I noticed, because I dry run it already in Rojas City, the first thing that you're going to consider is the safety of the passenger, and at the same time is that you're going to save a money for the fare, because sometimes the scenario in Rojas City, if you're going to ride from terminal to going to the city, they're going to rate you 100, or going to airport 200. Okay, sir.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
So thank you, Ma'am Antoinette. So for the fifth presentation, her thesis title is Decision Support Frame-Based Expert System for Medical Diagnosis. Author and presenter is Cherry Palomar.
Hello. Hello, good morning. This time, I'm going to present to you my study entitled Frame-Based Expert Decision Support System for Medical Diagnosis. So my name is Chair Joy A. Palomar, your presenter this morning. First, for the introduction, the decision support systems that have been developed was to assist physicians in the diagnostic process, often are based on static data. A decision support system which can learn the relationships between patient history, symptoms would be useful to physicians and hospitals. DSS, or your decision support system terminology, refers to a class of computer-based information systems, including knowledge-based systems that support decision-making activities. In general, it can say that a DSS is a computerized system for helping make decisions. So, the study is a decision support system that allows the user to input the needed basic information, the medical history, the symptoms. Then after that, the system can generate the corresponding diagnosis with the treatment recommendation based on information given by the patient. The output shows the diagnosis, treatment, and graphical percentage of the result. So this information automatically saved in a database and can be printed for personal use. It tends to become the unique system allowing the organization not only to work better or properly, but to work at all. For the problems, first, so there is no available technology that could estimate the possible diseases of the client based on user-defined symptoms. Second problem, there is no application that provides easy-to-understand graph, details, and treatment of related diseases of the client. And lastly, some clients need more information about the disease even before or after consultation from a doctor. For the objectives of the study, first is to develop a system that could estimate the possible diseases of the client based on user-defined symptoms. Second, to design an interface that provides easy-to-understand graph, details, and treatment of related disease of the client. Lastly, to develop a web-based application that could help the client in providing information about the disease even before or after consultation from a doctor. So for the conceptual framework, so my study, as what I have said, is decision support for medical diagnosis. So of course, I have two users, the patient and the doctor. First, for the user, which is the patient, first you have to connect to the internet because my study is online website. Okay, then security. So when we say security, you have to log in on your account. Okay, after you logged in, you will proceed to the home page or the landing page of the website. Okay, so you can see there. Later on, I will present to you my website. First, you're going to view info. There, inside the view info, you can view your information, all the data that you have input inside the system with the diagnosis and the treatment. And then, there is an arrow to the icon printer because the data can be printed or the information can be printed. Next is the diagnosis. So for the diagnosis, this is the time wherein the patient will input the needed information, like the basic information, the medical history, the symptoms, and then next is the prognosis. Wherein in the prognosis, that is the part wherein the algorithm functions. That's why there is an arrow going to the algorithm. My algorithm is a frame-based expert system. Then for the analytics, so this is an additional features. because one of my panel before suggested an analytics in which there is a summary of graph about the input information like the age, the BMI, the blood pressure, the history, and the symptoms, and which it has a graph of disease frequency. Okay, and all the information was saved in the database. That is for the patient. Next is for the doctor. Of course, again, connect to the internet, log in for the account as a doctor. And then there is two arrows. First is the input user, meaning the doctor will serve as the administrator of the system because the doctor is the one who can input all the information needed for the system. Because the doctor is the person who is knowledgeable about different kinds of diseases. That's why the data considered can be valid and accurate. So the doctor is allowed to add or delete a user. And of course, a doctor can add another administrator or user of the system. Then, input disease, meaning the doctor, let's say for example, there is a new disease arises, like today, there is COVID-19. So the doctor will input new symptoms, new history, new information, or new diseases so that the system will be updated. That's why it is online, so that for the update of the information, it is very easy because it is online. Then all the information will be saved in the database. So that is for the conceptual framework of my study. Next is for the methodology. So I use extreme programming. No, so it has phases there: planning, designing, coding, testing, and a software increment. For the planning phase, first I'm going to discuss why I choose extreme programming. So generally, extreme programming can be described as a method of software development that is designed to deliver high-quality products to the customers within the shortest amount of time. Unlike other agile methods of software development, extreme programming is focused on implementation of new engineering techniques in its working process. That is because of the time limits that usually take place in extreme programming projects. So during the planning phase, all necessary information was gathered, conducts interview in the patient and doctors if the proposed study is useful and feasible to develop, estimated and prepares the plan, time and cost carrying out the iterations, prepared all the data needed for the development of the system. For the designing phase, so after the plan is ready with its iterations, the designing process will come into effect. Now, when it comes to design, it does not mean that complex design rather than simplicity. So the core goal is continuously search for system implementation that is as simple as possible. And simple does not mean that system does not meet its requirements, but should be trusted. So the system was designed for two users, which is the patient and the doctor. So this is the menu, or the main menu for the two users. So if you're going to log in for the patient, so that is the menu. You can see your My Profile, meaning you can view your information that you have input inside the system. Next is the diagnosis. So as what I have said before, this is the time we're in. You're going to input the needed information in order for you to know your diagnosis. Next is the analytics. This is the graph of the disease frequency based on all the information inputted by the user, which is the patient. Then sign out your account. Next, for the doctor. So for the doctor, for the symptoms, history, diseases, that is the menu or button used for the input of new information. So for the symptoms, that is the time the doctors input the name of the new symptoms, the description of that symptoms. Same with the history. And then for the diseases, that is the time wherein the doctor can set the parameters with the corresponding diseases and treatment. Next, for the users, that is the menu wherein the doctor can manage the user accounts. They can add or delete the user of the system, then sign out. For the algorithm, okay, so an expert system known as knowledge-based system, it is a computer program that uses knowledge and inference procedures to solve problems that are ordinarily solved through human expertise. So I have used, to enter your expert system, I have used frame-based expert systems because this is widely used as the knowledge representation for expert system with large knowledge base. So there are many applications of expert systems such as diagnosis, design, planning, financial decision-making, etc. Most applications of expert system in medicine involve predicting, diagnosing, and treating a particular disease. Now, expert systems has many other roles in clinical care such as disease prevention, therapy, rehabilitation of the patient after therapy, etc. Medicine, expert systems are used to train the medical students on various medical tasks. In certain situations where either the case is quite complex or there's no medical experts readily available for patients, medical expert systems are useful. So, okay. So why, I'm going to discuss to you why frame-based expert system. Frame-based because in that diagnosis, there is frames. The frames I have used in my study is the age, blood pressure, body mass index, history, and the symptoms. Okay, clerical error for the spelling of the symptoms. Okay? So that is the 5 frames. That's why frame-based expert system. So those 5 are the basis for the diagnosis. Okay? So based on your age, for your blood pressure, BMI, history, symptoms, based on that 5, you will know your diagnosis or your disease. Okay? On each frame, I have set 20%. But this is based on the matches. Okay? Once your age is matched, okay, to a certain disease, automatically you will get 20%. Same with the blood pressure and the body mass index. The only difference there is the history and symptoms, because in history, for example, in each patient, there's a different kind of history. Maybe you have 5 or more than. Okay? So in order to get the 20%, we will calculate the number of matches. Okay? Kung kapila ka mag-match, no? Dito sa aton nga ginset ni doctor, divided by the total number of matches. For example, ang ginset ni doctor, nga total number of matches is 20 for that particular diseases, and then nakakuha ikaw 5. So meaning 5 divided by 20. So number of matches over total number of matches times 50 plus 50 times 0.2, it's because you are getting the 20%. Same with the symptoms. Okay? Then after that, the system will total. So whatever the highest percentage, that will be the most related diseases related to your information that you have inputted. Okay? So that is how the frame-based expert systems function. So because of our frames and its percentage. Then for the summary, okay, I'm going to show to you first the system before I proceed to the summary. Okay, so Okay. So, for my DSS, no, I named it Diagnostica. Okay, Diagnostica because of the word diagnosis. Okay. First, this is the login page. Okay. Login page. So you will choose the system. If you do not have still your account, you can sign up. Okay, sign up for your account. So the system will ask for your email and password. Of course. Okay, so this is for the user patient. So for the My Profile, meaning you can view your record and then there is a date and a time. No, so meaning you can view all your records since the day you have used the system. And then you can print that. Okay, loading. Okay, so naka-ano siya, PDF siya nga format, no? Okay, so sample lang ni siya, ha? Okay, so this is a generated. Then, in your information, to appear your age, your BMI, and the blood pressure that you have inputted. Then the diagnosis, so meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, that, number 1, influenza. So for example, meaning that is the related disease, no? Related to your information that have inputted. Then 2, 3, 4, meaning the mostly, no, or likely related to you. Then you can download or print that information. Then, so this is the function of this menu, My Profile. So for viewing of your summarized information, then for the printout. Then for the diagnosis, okay, so this is the most important part of the system because this is where you can input information and then you can view your diagnosis. So input your age, okay, your gender, your systolic and diastolic, meaning your blood pressure, your height, and then your weight. Then next, input the symptoms. Previous ko na input ko. Okay, then next. Okay, your symptoms. Just click here, select a category, and then check all the symptoms you're experiencing. The next, history. So for the history, there is a classification, hereditary, and there's habitual. So meaning you have an hereditary history and then habitual, meaning your habits. Then, next. Okay, so as you can see, loading, there is text there, running algorithm, because this is the time in which the algorithm functions. So now, after I have inputted my information, I am matched to the disease. Okay, ganyan pangalanan na siya, disease 1, ha? Disease 1. So the match is the 62.50%. So where did we get the 62.50%? Before, so sagin pakita ako sa inyo nga frames nga may 20% sa 5 frames, meaning in-calculate niya. So meaning disease 1 is the closest related diagnosis or disease. Then, there is a review here of your age classification, the information you have inputted. Okay. And if you're going to click this one, it will appear here your disease. For the about, in this case, kay wala ko na siya gimutang description ha. But here in the about, this is where the description about that disease. For example, influenza. Here in the about, it will describe you what kind of disease is that. Then for the treatment, this is the recommendation. What will be the possible treatment for that specific disease. Then the factors. Okay, the factors set by the doctors so that you can relate. Okay, then click OK. Then we have here analytics. This is the additional feature. Okay, additional feature. Okay, naguba dari yaw. Okay, there is a legend here. Ha, may mga legend. Di siya galing ulit dari. And then the disease frequency. So, the disease. That is for the analytics. And then the age. All the informations that you have input inside the system. I-filter nyo na siya anong pinakataas nga rate. Like that. So, that is for the patient. Then for the doctor. Dito ko sa doctor. Okay. I'm gonna proceed to the summary of my study. So, firm-based expert decision support system for medical diagnosis was developed to help improve the accessibility for patients and healthcare professionals. So, this system provides modules for patients to input all their necessary information needed for diagnosis. So, this system also provides module for the doctor to edit and update the data needed for the generation of diagnosis. This system enables people to easily manage their health and well-being, everything from prompting them to get check-ups. For the conclusion, in this research, your system was able to achieve and provides the patient with module for suitable diagnosis and treatment. The decision support systems has been developed to assist physicians in the diagnostic process, often are based on user-defined symptoms or parameters. A decision support system which can learn the relationship between patient history symptoms and which would be useful to physicians. For the recommendation, here I have inputted some recommendations for the upgrade, okay, for the medical diagnosis. So it can be upgraded into electronic medical records wherein it allows patient histories, test result. Okay, so we can add test result, diagnosis, and relevant information to be stored centrally in an online location that data allows for more focused and accurate cares as well as the ability to see health trends for each individual. Another recommendation, so we can upgrade into mobility and mobile apps. So mobile apps are of great help to all the departments and are touching each segment of life. Likewise, it has shown and proved its great many importance in a medical and healthcare area. So healthcare applications provide its customers with lots of facilities, they could easily get appointments, fix with a desired doctor, they could interact with the doctors, and could check the availability of medical reports in a very short time of span. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
So my question is, you have been mentioning that the part of the system wherein the doctor is given the task to enter the necessary information, data with regards to diseases.
Yes, ma'am.
Would that really be the part of the doctor itself? Because what if the doctor has no time to enter all those information needed? So your system would be useless. Haven't you considered sort of having the system itself be maintained by a certain association of doctors wherein they would be the one to... Have you considered that?
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good suggestion because if it's a group of doctors, at least any other doctors can input also their information. So, pwede na siya. Sa recommendation, ma'am, pwede. Other doctors can input the information or the data, like the symptoms or the diseases.
So, doctors man gyapon.
Yes, ma'am.
Hindi ang association of the doctors or the organization itself of the doctors in terms of the specializations of
What are you trying to say, ma'am? For the association, there is a specific person assigned by that association.
Could be.
Okay, ma'am. It could be.
Because somehow, if you rely on the doctors itself, I don't think they would be able to have
Yes,
the
ma'am.
time to update the
Yes, ma'am.
system itself. As an overall, considering that there are a lot of applications existing online that somehow has the same concept as what your study is all about. So what's the uniqueness of your study compared with existing sites?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, for the uniqueness, my study can output all the related diseases because in other website they are only focused on specific diseases. In my case, it can output all the related diseases. Of course, it has a graph. At also that can explain why you are related to that disease, and also it has also a recommendation, a description of the disease, and then the treatment. For me, the unique feature of my system is that it can output all the related diseases.
In relation to the question of Ma'am Rhea, I think the issue is on sustainability of the management of the system. Like, who will manage it? Because if you say manage, then it requires resources. You need to pay a person who will update the system, right? So how will the management of the system be sustained?
Okay, so since the time I have proposed this study, I have only focused for a specific doctor. But then, thank you for your suggestion because, you know, mostly today doctors are busy. So maybe I will follow the recommendation of Ma'am Rhea that there will be a assigned person for a certain association which is also knowledgeable and have the enough information to input inside the system.
But what I mean is, how will the doctor, if the doctor will manage the system, earn something so that it can support the operation of the management of the system? You know what I mean? Because this is a system that will aid the patient, right? And you said that the aid can be provided before consultation and after the consultation. And the question is, if this is web-based, who will update? And you said it's the doctor. Now, how will the doctor maintain the management of that system? Because it will require him to pay the salary of somebody who will update it, who will monitor, and so on and so on. So that's one issue that you need to consider.
So you're asking, ma'am, how the doctor can earn?
Not really earn, but how will the management of the system be sustained?
Okay. For the maintenance like that, maintenance of the information inside the system, there will be a specific person na lang, ma'am, to maintain the system. So it's up, maybe that is for the recommendation. So maybe it's up for the doctor if he will pay or he or she will pay for a specific person to maintain the system, or he will do it by himself.
Okay.
Because here, I'm trying to just to say that the information must be encoded by a doctor for the because I'm trying to prove the validity of the information.
Okay. Kay Kutani, kumambal kitang, okay, si Dr. A ang ma-manage. Ibutang niya sa iya nga clinic. Right? And so that means the access to that system will be limited only to the patients of that doctor. Kay nobody can access it, not unless they will have to pay an amount. But since your plan is to have it on a web,
Yes.
and
well,
it's open access, the question would be, who will manage the system?
Maintenance.
And how can that management of the system be sustained? That's the question.
Okay, ma'am.
As to the, actually related to Ma'am Rhea and
Yes, sir.
Ma'am Dr. Penetrante. So, it's very, siguro, it's the maintenance of the system is very crucial, no? Part of your system, and maintaining those information about the diseases, no?
Yes, sir.
It's a good suggestion because if there's someone will maintain the data,
Yes.
it will also preserves, and it will also give the accurateness of the diagnosis. It will standardize all the diagnosis to the patient. No?
Yes, sir.
And then for a recommendation, like for example, what we have experiencing right now, especially the COVID,
Yes, yes, sir.
So that system will be very helpful also.
Yes, sir.
So one additional recommendation is just to put a heat map,
What, sir? Map.
heat maps.
Heat maps, okay.
That will identify those area, or locations that diseases are very common.
Okay.
No,
So
that
you're
will also-
recommending, sir, for a specific place and then a disease which is higher rate.
Rate
Okay.
in that area.
Yes, sir.
That is a recommendation.
I'm going to add that to my system, sir.
And then also what I have recommended before about the statistical
Yes, sir.
reports. So it will show or compare what are the common diseases in the previous year and then in the current year.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so that's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Ma'am Cherry. So the next, or our last presenter, his thesis is entitled E-Government, an Assessment of Philippine Government Website. Author and presenter is Jason Troy Bahar.
Good morning, everybody. I think I'm the only person here with a social science orientation paper. And by the way, this is not my thesis, and this is a paper that I made last year. We worked on it last year. And the title of this is E-Government, an Assessment of the Philippine Government Websites. So my course is Masters in Public Administration at our graduate school. For my abstract, public administrators around the world invest enormous amounts of public funds financing their virtual presence. Many studies try to assess these investments, the return of these investments, thus the different evaluative methodologies. In the Philippines, there are only few studies on e-government. No study by far has assessed national websites of the executive branch as the forefront deliverers of public services. This is a qualitative, descriptive, benchmarking study which uses conceptual and relational content analysis to survey elements of 21 government e-government websites. They were evaluated in terms of website features, user interactivity, and type of e-service provided. It is believed that the findings of this study are essential in enhancing the e-government practices here in the Philippines. For the introduction, so what is e-government? According to United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, they define e-government as the use of internet and World Wide Web in delivering government information and services to the citizens. It includes all virtual information and communication technologies, that's ICT, and platforms and applications in use of the public sector. So e-government is viewed as one of the vital aspects of governmental management and a development indicator that's according to United Nations General Assembly Resolution 69/204. So according to NAM, Pardo and Burke in 2012, they argued that e-government is a key strategy for improving government services and the effectiveness of public policies and programs. So why do we need to assess this? So public administrators invest so much money. So in the Philippines, we have incorporated it in our national budget, and that's under the e-government fund, or the EGF, which amounts to an average of at least 1% of the gross domestic product of the Philippines, or in total, we're budgeting this for what? 1 billion pesos every year. Much money of the Philippine government has invested in this program. And imagine, in 2004, our government invested 4 billion. And imagine, in 2015, the government invested 3 billion only for financing the e-government platforms of the Philippines. So how do we assess e-governments? So according to United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, so we evaluate it in terms of the ICT infrastructure, availability of online services, and in terms of content. According to HICS, we assess it on the level of information, extent of client usage, availability of choices, and so on. And according to Dr. Isaac, this is his dissertation for PhD in Information Technology at Nova Southwestern University in Florida. So the main assessment method is benchmarking, website benchmarking of key features. So what is website benchmarking? So it is the continuously comparing and measuring websites with each other. According to Cohen and Emick, it is one of the essential steps in developing web services. According to Gupta and Jana in 2003, it is the most effective e-government performance measurement tool. So what are the key indicators in website benchmarking? So according to Hicks, actually in my full paper, I indicated a lot of indicators, but in the shortened version of my paper, I only indicated here, I only included the review conducted by Hicks in 2008 and the review I conducted by Hassan and Abul Rab in 2011. So according to Hassan and colleague, we evaluate websites according to 4 dimensions. The first dimension is content quality, second dimension is design quality, third dimension is organization quality, and fourth dimension is user-friendly quality. And these are the key indicators for them. So in the Philippines, e-government did not gain much of the attention in the academic community. So according to my review, I only found 3 studies that tackled e-government. 3 indexed studies in index journals. So that's by Olano, Pasco, and Mirandilla 2018. So they had different evaluative methods. For Olano, he conducted content analysis as well and survey. And for Pasco, he conducted critical analysis technique of literature. And for Mirandilla, he conducted exploratory study by interviewing ICT personnel. So popularity of e-government research has waned over the years. So why is it that it is important for us to evaluate e-government now? No, because we have Facebook, we have Twitter. All our government agencies use these platforms, social networking sites, to communicate with the citizens. So why still evaluate e-government? Because in these platforms, in social networking sites, they still redirect that. No, the content is still redirected to the websites. And as consumers of the information, we are still directed to the website, and we are concerned of the features of the websites when we use the consumerist approach as a client of the government. So what are the objectives of this study? Number one is to describe e-government features in terms of visibility, presentation quality, and connectivity. Number two is determine the degree of user interaction. And number three, to identify and classify e-government services in the websites. So methodology, this is a qualitative, descriptive benchmarking study that uses conceptual and relational analysis. According to Holsty, a professor in Duke University in South Carolina, conceptual analysis involves determining frequency of specific items, while relational focus on identifying and attributing themes with their frequencies. So this is my analytical framework. I did not use conceptual framework because basically I did not relate variables from one another. What I just did is to review the items, whether these are present, whether how many items are present. So for visibility, I adopted the measure from the study of Holiday, wherein the website visibility is measured if on what item is when you search the website in Google or in a search engine, on what rank will the website appear in the search. So I compared that in three main search engines, that's Google, Yahoo, and Bing. For presentation quality, design, I counted the colors used, the text, font styles used, homepage banner, so on. And connectivity is for the links in government departments. So for the website features and user interaction, I gained that from my literature review. From a comprehensive literature review, I got these items. However, my contribution as a researcher is the services. So these services, I identify the services in the websites as either informational, transactional, or personal. So how did I come up with these kinds of services? So I pre-surveyed these websites, and when I pre-surveyed them, I determined what are the key services that were offered in these websites. So for the data gathering, I gathered all my data on April 21, 2019 to make sure that I did not have any bias to any of the website. So all of the data were gathered in the same day. And tools, I just use MS Word and MS Excel. And I formulated my own coding sheets. And user data were gathered using a third-party website. Scope, website features only limited in the homepage, on the homepage of the websites. So archive, records, and other web pages were not examined. So data analysis. For conceptual analysis, I counted the frequency. For relational analysis, I counted the frequency as well using the thematic analysis. Results and discussion. So this is my data. There's a lot. No? For the design, for this visibility, there's a lot of table. Yeah, I just incorporated them in one table for easier retrieval or easier presentation. No? Although it's complicated because there's a lot of variable there. Or a lot of indicators, I mean. Okay. So for the visibility, 8 out of 21 websites were mostly visible, appearing within 1.3 rank. That means to say that when you search a government website online or in a search engine, it will appear at least on the first item or between the first and the second item. So the highest visibility is found in Google, so it appears at least in the first rank. And in Yahoo, that's the least. So when you search a website in Yahoo, it appears on the second to third rank. That means the second to third item. So it's preferable, I mean, to use Google when you search for a website in the internet. And in general, so Philippine websites may appear between 1.7 or 1.7 or 1 or the first or second, between first or second rank items in the searches. So colors, in terms of the number of colors used, DNR, DSWD, and the Office of the President used the most number of colors, consisting of 7 colors. In a website, the 7 colors. In the rule of journalism or in the rule of article writing, we only use maximum of 5. No? But your government websites use 7 colors because when you use as much as 7 colors, that's already erratic in the eyes of the consumer. Next is the least number of colors is used from the DTI. They only use 3 colors. On average, Philippine websites use 4.9 or 5 colors in total. For font styles, DA and DOH used most number of font styles, and that's 6 different font styles altogether in a homepage. So also in journalism and in article writing, and magazine writing, or website content creation, we only use maximum of 3 font styles because more than 3 font styles is already erratic in the eyes of the consumers or in the eyes of the client. So in total, on average, Philippine websites use 2.9 to 3 different font styles. Background colors. 20 out of 21 websites use white as a background color. Most of these websites use other colors to pair with white, and gray is the most dominant after white, and that's for 35% of the websites use gray as background color. And on average, they use 2.3 colors in the website. For homepage banners, so homepage banners welcome the audience. When you search the website, when you enter the website, it welcomes you on the website. So 9 out of 10 or 87% of the website display the name of the department with their corresponding logo. There is, however, 1 in 10 or 13% of these websites displayed Filipino translation of the name of the department succeeding to the English name. Say, for example, there's the Department of Education. Under the name of Department of Education, there is a Kagawaran ng Edukasyon ng Pilipinas. So there's only 1 in 10 of the 21 websites. So, commendably, all of these websites, 100% use homepage banners. So homepage headlines, I measured this by the use when I counted what are the variety of the presentation when they present a homepage headline. So among the top methods in presenting homepage headline is slideshows of pictures, one picture after another, and then infographics. Next is plain text. On average, they use 2.6 variety of presentation methods. For navigation, bar, and buttons. So on average, Philippine websites have 1 to 2 navigation bars. That's 1.7. And the most number of navigation buttons is from the website of DAR, or Department of Agrarian Reform, DBM, DNR, totaling to 16 navigation buttons. And the least number is from the website of gov.ph. It is the mother website of the Philippine government, and it has only 7 buttons. So on average, Philippine websites use 11.7 or 12 navigation buttons. If we take it from the consumerist approach, it's already erratic from the eyes of the consumer when you view the website because there's already 2 navigation bars and a lot of buttons, right? Next is the page length. So I measure the page length in terms of using the page down button in the keyboard. So it constitutes the average length of 6.2 pages, 100% zoom in Google Chrome, in a size of the screen of 8 inches by 14 inches. So DepEd has the least number with only 2 pages, while DAR board the highest pages. That's 16 web pages, 16 page length pages in the home page. And next is the page mobility shortcut. It allows you to move up and down easily in a website. And it was found out that only 3/4, nearly 3/4, 71.4% of the website have shortcut, and 1/3 do not have such feature. Next, accessibility button. This is one of the important indicator in the United Nations e-government survey, wherein it allows for the inclusivity, because in the accessibility buttons, it allows you to adjust the screen brightness, adjust the size of the font, and so on. And it was found out that only 3/4 of these websites, the 71.4%, comply with accessibility buttons, and 38% do not have this feature. Frequency in update. So I measured this by checking what is the last update in the website and minusing it with the present date that I updated the website. So the Department of Energy, DNR, Department of Finance, DFA, DICT, and Government.ph were faithfully updating their website. So when you visit their website, there's always new content Now, however, in the Department of Tourism, it has the longest period with no updates for almost 13 days. They don't update their website. And followed by Department of Education. They don't update their website they delayed in updating their website by 7 days. And on average, websites were updated between 1.9 or 2 days. So multi-language feature, almost two-thirds, 66.7% of the websites use English as primary medium, while there are 3 in every 10 or 33.33% that incorporates English and Filipino altogether in these websites. However, unfortunately, there is no Philippine website that uses Filipino language as the primary medium. All of them use English or incorporates English and Filipino. Organizational information. Overwhelmingly, all of the websites provides organizational information such as the organizational profile, citizens charter, vision mission statement, etc. Next, for the user-friendly features. So, 9.5%. Only 90.5% of the websites provide help feature. Help feature help us or provides us information when we have difficulty in navigating the website. And the FAQ feature, the frequently asked questions, there are only 42.9% who provides them this feature. And this is an integral component in the United Nations e-government survey. In the feedback feature, there are still some 20% of the websites who do not have a feedback feature wherein you can message directly the website. Connectivity, in total, the highest number of links that was found is from the Department of Trade and Industry, which accounted to 87 websites connected in the DTI website. That's 11% of the total connectivity links I gathered. And DPWH earned the highest connection with fellow national government offices with 39 links. However, for the DTI, 53 links were found from non-government organizations, and they provide links to institutions such as businesses, and industries. So, on average, there are 13.6 links to the national agencies, 8.8 links to attached agencies, 7.3 links to regional offices, and also 7.3 links to NGOs. And in terms of the social networking sites, Department of Foreign Affairs and DNR have the most number of connected social networking sites with a total of 5. So it seems that Facebook is the most connected social networking sites to our government websites, with 90% of these websites providing links to Facebook. So degree of user interaction. So it can be measured by the web traffic experienced by a website. So unfortunately, gov.ph was not included here because it is the mother site, and the third-party website cannot provide data for the user interaction for this. And web traffic between April 1 to April 30. So the highest number of visitors was received by the Department of Education, and that is for 1.06 million visits in just a span of 1 month. And it was followed by the Department of Foreign Affairs with 20% drop. That's 369 visitors only in 1 month. One of the main reasons for this is because DepEd bears the biggest clientele among all executive departments. That includes our department offices, teachers from high school and elementary. For the websites with least visit, Department of Transportation recorded the smallest visit within 1 month, and that is about 22,000. Followed by the Office of President with 24,000 visitors between April 1 to 30. So monthly website traffic. So DepEd, again, held the highest spot with 1.3 million visitors, average visitors every month. And it was followed by the Department of Science and Technology with 9.5% or only 300,000. And the least visited website is the Office of the President with only 0.5% or 21,000 visitors every month, almost every month. So number of web page visited. So DepEd remained to hold the top spot, wherein visitors visit usually 7.2 web pages in a day, followed by Department of Agrarian Reform with 5.7 and Department of Finance with only 1.5 visits. So this is my table. This is the table for all the traffic April traffic, monthly traffic, and average web page visit. So for e-government services, so I classified them whether all the services that they offer in terms of the information. So 100% of all websites provide information on news, list of the services offered, general information, public disclosure, yung mga liquidation reports nila, announcements, and processes and procedures were the most provided information. This indicates that they're the top information services of the government websites. It is noteworthy to point out that 38.1% of the websites studied incorporates political slogan. No? They incorporate political slogan, whether they amplify the slogan of Duterte, whether they amplify the slogan of Villar as the Secretary of DPWH. This indicates that e-government also paved or in fact expanded an avenue for the politicalization of an administrative office or person. This further indicates that we are in no place of denial. The department secretaries are still political appointees. Thus, they are also prone to politicize the delivery of public service even in the virtual platform. This is one of the perennial maladies of the Filipino society wherein personality politics persist even in the virtual sphere. Next is transactional services. So more than half, or 57.1%, 12 out of 21 websites provide transactional service. This is a good indicator in the progress of e-government in the country. Among the services offered include processing of documents, such as in the DSWD website, wherein you can apply for an adoption. No, you can apply, send an adoption request, their application there in their website. Availability of applications, which provide a great deal of benefit for the people, such as the hospital locator of the DOH. Anyway, there's a lot, so I'll just mention, for the personal services, e-government service may be classified as personal. That's according to 2018 United Nations e-government survey report. So this service may primarily manifest when governments empower people through offering people to create personal accounts. So in the case of Philippine government, only 3 out of 21 government websites provide this feature wherein we can create account in their website. So this is my table. Conclusion. So internet changed the different aspects of human life. It revolutionized governance and myriad government processes which were before considered complex. Management of governmental affairs became far more convenient with what it used to be. However, with this virtualization came virtual politicalization as well. E-government in the Philippines is used to amplify personality politics that continue to bombard our political system. So long that those e-governments are administered by political appointees and or persons, distortion of its real purpose may also be circumvented. The emergence of e-government governance conceived new challenges in public governance. In such case, the government may explore later on, as a recommendation, the idea of a centralized e-government management system, which will eventually provide a system of virtual checks. This remains to be a persisting bump for public administrations, which call us for an action to revisit over again our teachings in public administration, which made her withstood the haunts of the grim past. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the presentation. My first question is, what is the purpose of doing an assessment again of the website?
The main purpose of that, ma'am, is because our government is allocating, imagine, 1 billion pesos every year, 1 billion from the public funds. And there is no assessment by far made in the national websites wherein they were the forefront deliverers of public services. And the United Nations e-government survey report only surveyed the mother site, and that's gov.ph. And I think as proactive citizens of this country, we have the right to assess our government websites and later on to participate as well as good citizens of this nation in the proper implementation, because later on, because through this study, I can communicate the findings of my study to the Department of Information and Communications Technology, wherein they can find insights as well on how to improve the e-government practice in the national websites.
Okay, thank you. And you are the only person who evaluated this website.
Yes, ma'am. I'm the only person who evaluated those websites, but with the help of a comprehensive literature review of scholars who also conducted this review. Actually, there is a metrics used by United Nations for the e-government survey. However, the metric includes counting the presence or absence of a government feature, and they assign points from that. And there's a complex calculation for that. And that includes at least 100 items in the United Nations metrics. So what I just did is to gather from my literature review the items which were reviewed by previous researchers.
Okay, I need to cut you because I only need to know if you are really indeed the only person who did the evaluation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how many government websites did you review?
I only reviewed government websites from the executive branch. That's 21.
21. And you said you did that in one day.
Yes.
Okay.
One whole day.
How many hours did you spend for each website?
Because let me show to you my coding sheets, ma'am. Because my coding sheets
No,
are...
I want to know how many hours did you spend for each website?
It's not hours. It's just like for 30 minutes.
Okay. And
Yes.
all this data you can get in 30 minutes?
Yes, because I just checked the presence or absence.
Okay. And all of these are measured using your own scale of
I did
how,
not- yes,
like
ma'am.
colors and etc. and etc.
I did not use any scale because I basically counted, ma'am, the frequency, say for example, the number of colors used, the number of font styles used. Say for example, as you can see here, I have here my coding sheet.
Okay.
So I just check the presence or absence. And I don't need any scale for that because it's merely presence or absence. And I think I have the rightful judgment as well to determine whether a feature is present or absent.
Okay. So, and your conclusion is what?
For the long version of my paper, ma'am, I have there multiple conclusions, but what I emphasize is that I found out that politicalization of public services also happens in the virtual sphere because the one who manage these websites are also political appointees. That's why it's very they are very prone to politicize the content because I found out that political slogans made 38% of the online content that they present in their homepage. Say, for example, they post the slogan of Duterte, picture of Duterte there with his quoted text.
Okay.
So on.
But you said you use qualitative methodology.
Yes, ma'am. Content analysis.
And you also mentioned about the relational.
Yes, ma'am.
So how did you do that?
My relational approach, ma'am, is I classified a website content, whether what kind of information is that, whether is that a news, whether is that announcement, whether is this a political slogan, or so on.
Okay,
So,
since the data that you have gathered are in terms of yes or no, right?
yes, ma'am.
And you count that in frequencies.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you now transform that into thematic assessment? So yes or no. How did you because I think this is new for me.
Yes, ma'am.
That you use qualitative methodology when you have gathered answers like yes or no, and then you reported the frequency, but you classify that into qualitative, and then you do relational again.
Yes, ma'am. It is clarified by Holsti in his book in 1991, a guide on content analysis. I found that book in the library, and that's also the book that helped me in my undergraduate research. And he specified that when you conduct relational analysis, the main point is that you have this coding material, and you code whether an item is like this or an item is not like this. And that process alone constitutes semantic analysis. And Holsti is my main resource person for that. And I emailed him for that.
Yeah,
And
I understand, but what you have measured is actually the presence or the absence only.
But since I measured a lot of features, ma'am, I totaled the frequency, and therefore I related that later on I found out that this information I related as, because this is a deductive, this is an inductive content analysis as specified by Holsty, wherein I don't have, because unlike other content analysis research or other qualitative research, we are using deductive method in content analysis, wherein we have a general theory and then from there and so on.
I will, because I'd like to give more time for other panels. The other observation is that you have already the criteria at the start of the analysis, because you have already stated that in terms of, I think you have mentioned, what's the criteria for evaluation? Visibility, presentation and quality, connectivity. And in qualitative, you don't identify first the theme. It will emerge as you analyze the information that you have gathered. But here, you are presenting that prior to the analysis of the data, you have already identified these constructs. And then later, you just identify how many of the websites conform to this and how many did not have that. And since the basis of that statement is frequency and not themes, not emerging themes, the question is, how would that qualify under qualitative methodology?
Using the reference of Holsty, ma'am, I really believe that this is a qualitative content analysis, because according to Holsty, we can actually do that. No, we can actually first identify the constructs, but using also with the scientific protocols, following scientific protocols, wherein I conducted pre-survey before I conducted my assessment. I conducted pre-survey. What are the key features? What are the key constructs? And then I later on counted the frequency, and yeah.
Okay, my last question. What is the final theme that you have concluded from the result of your study?
I really don't have a final theme for that, ma'am, because what I did is assess the government websites in terms of 3 categories. First category is website features, second category, and so on.
Okay, so my suggestion to you is you need to really consider again these comments as to where does this study would fit. Is it under the qualitative or is it under the quantitative? One, you need to consider the structure of how you did the study. Again, you have already the constructs, right? And you count how many of them conforms to this. And you don't have a thematic conclusion at the end. Only how many. That means it's the number of websites that you have reviewed that conforms to these standards. So I suggest that you again go back and review what would be the best methodology that could fit where your study could fit in. Okay?
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Thank you so much for the suggestion. Noted.
Noted. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
I think you have discussed in your presentation regarding the ranking of the website.
Yes, sir.
So one of the criteria for the ranking is actually the search engine optimization. So you have tested in 3 different search engine, the Yahoo,
Bing.
the Bing, and the Google.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but based on the experience, if you are on the search engine optimization, so you will be revising and updating again your website based on the meta tags.
Yes.
So the more meta tags you have, the more chances that you will become the rank number 1.
Okay.
And also, why is it that Yahoo, based on your presentation, some of the websites are ranked 3rd compared to Google? It's because what I have understand, So if you will be applying websites, so you will be triggering which, based on the domain name server, so you will be basing it on the search engine where it is being located. So for example, there are some other websites that are actually on their own server, just like the ICT, just like COMELEC, just like Department of Education also.
Yes.
So try to consider the search engine optimization criteria also.
Yes, sir.
And my second question is, why is it that you have developed your own criteria? Why not use the ISO standard? So the ISO standard is 40,500 for making the website. And there are criteria of website. There are 6 criteria, which means the authority, the purpose, the objective, the coverage, the currency, and the accuracy also. Why not use that standard compared to developing own criteria?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for those questions. For the first question, sir, my answer is that I adopted the search engine optimization measurement from the study of Holiday, wherein he also used the same feature wherein he also used the 5 search engines, and he compared the rank searches in those search engines. That's why I used the same measurement in my study. And another thing for this question number 2, why did I develop my own? Actually, sir, I did not develop my own analytical framework for this. I adopted my framework from the frameworks of independent researchers as well. So basically, Hassan and Abul Jarab in 2011 compiled all these independent researches on website evaluation, and I used that as my main reference. So why did I not use the ISO? Because I found out, sir, during my literature review that there are a lot of e-government performance assessment tools, and there are from the NGOs, there are from international bodies, there are from UN, and so on. So since I classify myself as an independent researcher, I use as well the tools used by independent researchers as well.
In determining the or additional maybe you have to also to consider the accessibility, because we have a multi-platform devices accessing the website. So siguro it's part of the viewer assessment, whether that website really works in multi-platform devices. And then also the speed. Have you considered also the...
I haven't considered the speed anymore, sir, because there are actually a lot of features recommended by independent authors as well. I just selected from those features on what I can work on. And since I am from the social science field, I think it would be difficult for me to look at the algorithms of programming and all. In terms of the speed, although I can use a third-party website for that, I think because when I use the speed, my data will also be influenced also by my internet speed. By the internet speed that I am from the internet connection that I am using. And another thing is that that's it.
Well, actually,
noted, sir.
The speed is also determined by those analytics being used. Like, for example, what you have said is third-party softwares.
Yes.
That you have used in testing the website. So what is the name of the
It's in my actual paper, sir, but it's in there oh my goodness. Wait. Ay, dali lang. Oh, excuse me for a bit, sir. It's, wait, my goodness. It's website iq.com.
Okay, so why did you choose that website?
Because it has the information that I needed. Because there's a lot actually of third-party websites that I explored through. But since this platform has a complete information with regards to April traffic, with regards to average monthly traffic, and the number of web page visits, I use this platform. Because for some third-party websites, it's the April platform is available. The April traffic is available, but not the average monthly traffic. So since to have the parallel content wherein, a congruent content wherein I got all this information from one website alone, therefore I think that will maximize the reliability of my data.
Okay, that's all.
Again, because the information that you gathered from this third-party platform are in terms of numbers, right?
Yes,
in terms
ma'am.
of how many users access this, how many times, how many pages, and etc. And you're not measuring how they understood this, so it's more of a quantitative.
But I guess because the whole paper is not only focused on the user interaction, it's just a component in my framework. That's why later on, I maybe decided that it is. Because according to Holsty, ma'am, yeah, according to Holsty, he also classified that content analysis can be both quantitative and qualitative. Because according to him, when we count the frequencies, that's quantitative daw. Ganon.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not only about the data that you are collecting and then you base it whether it's quanti or quali.
Yes.
It's the methodology, the processes that you need to go through. And since all of these processes that you did are more on the collection of data rather than on the analysis of the information based on the wordings and etc., then you need to reconsider. That's my suggestion.
Thank you so much for the suggestion, ma'am. Noted.
Okay, so that's it for the last presentation. So I hope third year you have learned something from the presentation itself, because you are right now doing your documentation for the initial part of the study itself. We're in chapters 1, 2, and 3. You're working on it. So I hope what was presented today gave you some insights on how you would be able to prepare your documentation, and the questions that were being raised and recommendations. You should also learn from it as to maybe the things that you might be putting into writing with regards to the paper that you are working on. You may consider all those ideas that were shared this morning. Now, before we end, okay, we will now acknowledge our panels. May we request Dr. Mary O. Penetrante to award the certificate of appreciation to our panel. But before we do that, may I congratulate all the presenters for this morning, and thank you for the participation. So the certificate reads, Central Philippine University Research Center presents the certificate of appreciation to our panel in grateful recognition and sincere appreciation for serving as panel of evaluators during the 17th Research and Development Week and 18th Student Research Symposium under the Information Technology category with the theme Resilience and Sustainable Development, held at Educational Media Center, Central Philippine University. Therefore, always abounding in the work, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, taken from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Given this 11th day of March 2020 at Central Philippine University, Iloilo City, Philippines, signed by the Director of University Research, Dr. Mary O. Penetrante, Vice President for Academic Affairs, Irving Domingo Rio, and University President Teodoro Robles. So may we call Mr. Pedro Peter Ruiz Cambronero. And Mr. Anrem Baluntong. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. For students, if you have the time later on, you can come in the afternoon because we do have the closing program and the awarding and announcement of winners for the category. And may I...
Okay, may I say something? Now you have witnessed how the presentation of papers are being done, no? Don't be discouraged kung ang mga questions kung kaisa daw medyo kumbaga masakit gawa ang dating. Amugid man na siya sa presentations, and I commend the presenters, the 6 presenters in the IT category this morning and in the graduate studies category this morning, because they have really shown how to answer these questions the best as they can be, no? So I also would like to encourage those students who are not yet into research to please get involved in research, because this is really needed by our country. You see the projects or the research outputs presented, no? We can say that these are really useful sa aton nga communities. However, we don't end on presenting the papers in this, like this conference only. We need to really have these research outputs utilized by our communities or interested parties. And so again, I would like to thank everyone for coming to witness this paper presentation. This afternoon, we're going to have the awarding ceremony, and we will award best papers, first place, second place, and third place. However, for those categories with only 3 entries, we will only award 1 award, and that is the best paper. Wala na siya sing second best kag third best, kay titatlo man lang ang nag-compete. Pero sa more than 3, like 4 I think, or 5, may ara kitang first, second, and third. Okay? So, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all the presenters. Thank you man sa panelist naton nga nag-absent sa trabaho para magkadto diri. And thank you, Ma'am Rhea, for moderating this paper presentation. See you all this afternoon. Okay?
Undergrad, pero ano palinyo ta? Ano palinyo?
Gaya lang ni Fan.